This part of our presentation will give you some important guidelines for operating more safely and efficiently so that you can achieve greater productivity. It's always a good idea to do some planning before you jump into a task head first. Know the capabilities and limitations of your equipment. Keep your equipment serviced and know the job requirements before you get to the job site. Co-workers should know how to approach the excavator if it is operating. They should let the operator know they're going to approach the machine and should not approach the excavator until the operator has seen them. Before allowing a co-worker to approach the machine, fully lower the boom and the attachment and place the excavator's steering controls and joysticks in neutral. Before you begin any job, make sure the excavator is in good operating condition. Make it a daily habit to do the following. Clear the engine compartment of any debris. When the engine reaches operating temperature, any debris in the engine compartment could ignite. Check the engine air cleaner and intake hoses. The dust cup must be emptied at the start of each shift. Also check the filter indicator. If the red ring is exposed, replace the filter. Do not replace the filter until the red ring is clearly visible in the filter indicator. Then check the intake hoses for damage. Check engine oil level. Check the oil level only when the engine is off. The oil level must be between the marks on the dipstick. Use only those lubricants recommended in your operation and maintenance manual to top off the reservoir. Check engine coolant. This check should be performed only when the engine is cool. The level in the recovery tank must be halfway to the top. Follow the instructions in your operation and maintenance manual to add coolant. Check hydraulic fluid level. To check the fluid level, move the machine to a flat level surface. Lower the blade, retract the dipper and bucket cylinders, and lower the boom until the bucket rests on the ground. Then stop the engine. Check the fluid level. The level is okay if fluid is visible in the sight gauge. If fluid is not visible, follow the directions in your operation and maintenance manual to fill the reservoir. Check track tension. Rotate the house 90 degrees and raise the machine with the boom and dipper. Have another person place jack stands under the blade and frame. Use extreme caution when performing this procedure. After the other person is clear of the excavator, lower the boom until all the weight of the excavator is resting on the jack stands. Stop the engine. Measure track sag at the middle track roller. Do not put your fingers between the pinch points of the track and track roller. Use a bolt or a dowel to measure track sag. Refer to your operation and maintenance manual for the track sag measurement for your excavator, and be sure to follow the procedure for rubber or steel tracks. Loosen the bolts on the cover and swing the cover down. Add grease at the grease fitting to increase track tension and loosen the bleed fitting to release track tension. Never remove or try to loosen the grease fitting used to increase track tension. You could be struck by grease released under high pressure, or the fitting could become a projectile, either of which could strike you and cause serious injury. Grease pivot points. There are a number of fittings that must be greased daily on the excavator, and each one of them is critical to the life of the machine. Find the locations of each grease fitting in your operation and maintenance manual. Check ROPs or tops for damage or loose hardware. The ROPs and tops are safety features that have been designed and tested to protect you in case of rollover or upset. Tighten any loose mounting hardware. If structural damage is apparent, it cannot do the job it was designed to do. See your Bobcat dealer for a replacement cab or canopy. Check for any loose or broken parts. To ensure proper operation of all systems on the excavator, do a walk-around to look for obvious damage or loose mountings. Check the safety decals and safety treads. The decals have been placed on the machine as constant reminders about the safe operation and maintenance of the excavator. If the decal or safety tread is damaged or missing, replace it. Check the seat belts. Damaged buckles, worn belts, or loose mountings are all signals to have the seat belt assembly replaced. Test all indicator lights. Before you begin operation, make sure that all the indicator lights are operating. Check the fuel level. Before you leave for the job site or begin operating, check your fuel level. When fueling the excavator, the engine must be off and cool. If the engine is hot, allow a 5-minute cool-down period before fueling. Do not smoke or light a match while fueling your excavator. The potential for an explosion is high. Check safety features. Before you begin operation, check the house slew lock and the control lock. You should follow a regular maintenance routine and perform various periodic checks and services. Every manufacturer provides a service schedule designed to help keep your excavator operating like new. Bobcat Company places a service schedule decal on the excavator and includes the schedule in the operation and maintenance manual. Keeping to this schedule will help keep your excavator operating at peak efficiency. Avoiding injury is your first responsibility when operating and maintaining the excavator, so keep in mind the following. You should never exit a machine when the engine is running or when the machine is moving. You should never perform service or repair procedures with the work equipment elevated and not supported. If the machine must be elevated, make sure it is blocked in such a way to prevent sudden movement of the dipper and boom. Always look in all directions before moving the excavator and slewing the house or swinging the boom. Use your horn to alert persons on the job site. Once you have completed the daily checks and performed the required services, plan for the job you've been given. Find out what kind of terrain and what material is underfoot at the job site. Is the machine equipped with the proper bucket size for the job? Do you have appropriate protection, such as a hard hat, safety glasses, or hearing protection? Do you need to bring any attachments to the job site? Do you need to use shoring equipment? Check with the one-call provider in your area to find out where cables and pipes are buried. Alert utilities or the owners of power lines when working near overhead power lines. Follow all local, state, and federal regulations regarding working near buried lines to help promote safety on the job. Okay, the daily checks have been performed, and now that you know what and where the job is, it's time to refine those operating fundamentals. If you adhere to the following precautions and procedures, you can minimize run-ins with the unexpected. The first rule of movement is look to the rear, then left and right, and to the front. Know what direction the blade is facing so that you know which way the excavator will travel when the steering levers are pushed forward. The compact excavator offers excellent visibility, not only for viewing your work, but also for observing any co-workers who might wander into your path. When driving the excavator to the excavation site, choose a path that is reasonably flat. Raise the blade, bring the boom and dipper in close to the house, and curl the bucket. As you travel, choose the straightest path possible. If you have to make turns, avoid sudden turns by making gradual direction changes. Watch out for obstacles, hidden holes, or drop-offs. Go around objects rather than over or through them. If possible, avoid things like ditches, curbs, and exposed railroad tracks. If obstacles are unavoidable, reduce speed to help maintain control. Raise the bucket and blade high enough to clear the obstacle. You should approach and cross 90 degrees to the obstacle to avoid damaging the tracks. Always remember that your compact excavator is a one-person machine. Never permit riders. When driving down a slope, point the boom and blade downhill. Position the dipper approximately 90 degrees to the end of the boom. Curl the bucket until the cutting edge is pointing uphill. The bucket should be no more than 12 inches or 300 millimeters off the ground. Do not attempt to change direction until you have reached the bottom of the slope. When driving up a slope, point the boom uphill. Position the dipper about 90 degrees to the end of the boom or further, depending on the pitch of the slope. Curl the bucket until the cutting edge is pointing downhill. The bucket should be no more than 12 inches or 300 millimeters off the ground. Do not attempt to change direction until you have reached the top of the slope. When traveling across a side slope, keep your boom centered. Never exceed the slope angles found in the operation and maintenance manual for your compact excavators. Keep away from edges of drop-offs. Never operate too close to an overhang or gully. The earth could give way and cause a rollover. Always make sure that you have adequate traction when traveling or working on slopes to prevent the possibility of sliding. No matter what conditions you are operating under, remember always wear your seatbelt. You can use the Bobcat Exchange System to easily install an attachment on your machine. The following describes the process used for the Bobcat Hydraulic Exchange System if equipped on your compact excavator. To install the attachment, swing the boom fully to the left for better visibility. Press and hold the exchange switch to the right to fully retract the hydraulic pins. Position the arm until the exchange pins engage the attachment hooks, and raise the boom and extend the bucket cylinder until the exchange system contacts the back of the attachment. Position the arm until it is vertical and lower the boom until the exchange pins disengage from the attachment hooks and the plate fully engages into the attachment crossmember. Press and hold the exchange switch to the left to fully extend the hydraulic pins. Stop the engine and remove both retainer pins and clips from their storage location. Insert the retainer pins into the hydraulic pins and then install both retainer clips. Never operate the machine without both retainer pins and clips properly installed. When you remove an attachment, make sure you remove and store the retainer clips and pins. Fully retract the hydraulic pins. Raise the boom until the exchange pins engage the attachment hooks. Lower the attachment to the ground and move away from it. For the specific details for changing attachments on your machine, make sure you follow the instructions found in your operation and maintenance manual, operator's handbook, and decals located on the machine. Some attachments require an auxiliary hydraulic system to operate. Bobcat Company provides quick connect couplers that allow you to easily connect hydraulically operated attachments to the hydraulic system on your machine. If you are installing an attachment that requires auxiliary hydraulics, you must release the hydraulic pressure to make it easier to connect the hydraulic hoses. Refer to your Bobcat Operation and Maintenance Manual for the procedure. Be sure to route the auxiliary hoses as directed in the Operation and Maintenance Manual, and then connect them to the Quick Connect couplers. Driving onto a trailer is similar to driving up a slope. Begin by blocking the wheels of your tow vehicle. Be sure your ramp angle does not exceed 15 degrees and is strong enough to support the weight of the excavator. Also, make absolutely sure that the ramps are secured to the trailer. Position the excavator at the ramp with the blade and boom facing forward. Engage the slew lock pin to lock the house. Raise the blade and lower the boom slightly. Extend the bucket while extending the dipper and then begin driving slowly onto the trailer. Keep the track centered on the ramps to avoid an upset. Remember, when the center of the length of the tracks reaches the top of the ramp, the excavator will drop down. Slow the machine down as you reach this point. After loading the excavator, lower the blade and position the dipper and bucket as shown. Stop the engine and remove the key if your excavator is equipped. Fastening hold-down chains to the front corners of the blade and to the tie-down loop at the rear of the track frame. And using chain binders to tighten the chains and then secure the chain binder handles. To drive off the trailer, block the wheels of the tow vehicle and remove the tie-down chains. Enter the excavator. Fasten your seatbelt. Lock the control console in the operating position. Start the engine. Unlock the house. Raise the boom until the bucket is about 12 inches or 300 millimeters off the deck and rotate the house 180 degrees. Now raise the blade. Pull the steering levers slowly toward you to begin driving off the ramp. And remember, you will be traveling in reverse because the blade is facing in the opposite direction. When the center of the length of the tracks extends over the edge of the trailer bed, the excavator will drop down. When you have cleared the trailer, reposition the house so the boom is over the blade. When towing, always observe any motor vehicle laws and use a transport and towing vehicle of adequate length and capacity. Make sure you have adequate overhead clearance when transporting the equipment on a trailer. To lift the excavator, use the lifting points provided and engage the slew lock lever. Never allow anyone on the excavator when it is being lifted. As we near the end of this training program, we want to emphasize that operating in a safe manner requires the operator to use common sense. Operating from a hard level surface provides good stability and makes it easier to dig a level hole. Use the blade to level your work area and lower the blade into the ground to help stabilize the excavator. Never start moving the boom or house until you are sure that no one is in your path. Look behind, to the sides, and to the front so that you know where everyone is. Use your horn to alert bystanders before you move the excavator. Never lift, swing, or move a load over anyone. Material could fall from the bucket, causing serious injury or death to a bystander. When loading spoil into a truck, make sure you know where everyone in the loading area is located. Do not begin loading until the driver is clear of the truck and a safe distance from the loading area. To load, fill the bucket and begin raising the boom and extending the dipper as you rotate toward the bed of the truck. Never move the house or boom without looking in all directions first. As the operator, it is your responsibility to be aware of any persons or objects that might be in the path of the boom, bucket, and various pinch points. Never enter an area with an explosive or flammable atmosphere. The exhaust pipe and the exhaust coming from it are very hot and could cause combustion of flammable or explosive materials. If you have to operate in an enclosed work area, make sure that there will be adequate ventilation. All internal combustion engines create carbon monoxide gas during operation. Accumulation of this gas within an enclosure can cause illness or even death. Use extreme caution when working in a pit or at the bottom of a deep ledge. If you must excavate a high bank, excavate the wall from the top down. Undercutting a bank could lead to a cave-in. Always try to position yourself so that if a cave-in were to occur, you would be or could get out of harm's way. Do not excavate under the machine or drive the excavator up to or over the edge of an excavation. Always view any excavation wall as a wall likely to give way. Use extreme caution when operating on a loading dock. And never use an attachment that has not been approved by Bobcat Company. Do not let co-workers use any part of the excavator as a work platform or elevator. This is extremely dangerous. No matter what conditions you are operating under, remember, always wear your seatbelt. We also want to leave you with some practical techniques that will help develop your operating skills. Before excavating, your first task will be to determine an appropriate area for dumping the spoil. Place the spoil as far away from the excavation as is practical, yet close enough to allow easy backfilling if required. Spoil placed too close to the excavation can result in a cave-in. Your second task will be to determine the best place to position the excavator. The excavator has the best footing when you excavate over the end. However, one of the advantages of the Bobcat Compact Excavator is that it can be operated from virtually any position when parked on flat, level ground. For most excavation projects, position the cutting edge of the bucket at the outer edge of the hole to be dug. Begin retracting the dipper and curling the bucket as it fills. Do not try to dig too deep and too long. If you stall the dipper hydraulics, back the dipper and bucket out of the cut and start over. Check for applicable OSHA regulations and with other authorities having jurisdiction for any special requirements, such as using shoring equipment or digging the trench in the shape of a V to lessen the possibility of a cave-in. Use caution when backfilling. The combined weight of the material and your excavator could cause the trench wall to collapse. When you use the excavator to backfill, lower the blade and drive slowly into the material, pushing it into the hole. Lift the blade as soon as it clears the leading edge of the hole. After backfilling, do not tamp the ground by striking with the bucket. This action can damage the bucket cylinder. Position the excavator so that the boom is directly over the area to be trenched. If the trench needed is long, set up sight gauges to help keep yourself in line. Slewing loads downhill on a slope can cause the excavator to tip. If it is necessary to dig on a slope, first dig a shelf into the slope to create a level surface from which to operate. Place the spoil on the top side of the slope to make backfilling easier. Follow the rated lift capacity charts in the operation and maintenance manual, and on the excavator to make certain your machine is capable of the task before you attempt to lift the intended load. To secure the load, curl the bucket and use an approved lifting device. Observe proper material handling practices by making sure any chains or straps you use are rated for the weight of the load to be lifted. Make sure that the slings are connected to the load to maintain the load stability. Rotate the load low and slowly to prevent tipping, and make sure no one is standing in the work area. You cannot become an efficient operator without understanding and following these basic techniques. Once you get the hang of them, you'll begin using your excavator to its fullest potential. Follow the guidelines presented in this program and those found in the operation and maintenance and other manuals provided with your excavator for safe, efficient, and productive compact excavator operation.